Hey guys, I'd like to thank you for watching. I am Perplexality, and this is ODST Halo Guide, and you're watching my Art of War series, which if you don't know, this is a series based on the famous tactical book written 3,000 years ago by Sun Tzu, and it's called The Art of War. And we're covering Chapter 5, entitled Energy. And in this chapter, we're going to be kind of talking about general tactics and how to control multiple people and smaller amounts of people, and we're going to talk about how to actually instigate fights. And you're going to see some perfection gameplay. I think I go 21-0 here in a big team game. So I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay and the commentary. And if you want to read along, this is a free ebook that I'm reading off of. This free ebook on my iPhone. So it's free for you to go ahead and get. It's also free on the internet. So you guys have no excuse to not read along unless it's really just too much of a hassle. But you'll learn a lot more if you read along because I'm going to leave out some of the stuff for the sake of time. But there we go. In the sake of time, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So, Sun Tzu said, "The control of a large force is the same principle as control of a few men. It is merely the question of dividing up their numbers. Fighting with a large army under your command is nowise different from fighting with a small one. It is merely a question of instituting signs and signals." So he's saying fighting with small armies and fighting with large armies are pretty much the same thing. And as you see, I'm doing a big team game, and I usually don't upload big team footage to my channel, but you notice I'm doing the same kind of general stuff that I would do in a small team game. And it's just a question of these two things that he says. It's merely a question of dividing up their numbers and merely a question of instituting signs and signals. So basically dividing up their numbers is dividing up your team into positions that can control the map evenly. And it's a question of signs and signals, which were used for communication. You know, you use flags and stuff and horns to kind of signal to the army because it'd be so large. So basically he's saying communication. So when you're focusing on playing on big teams and stuff, communication is key. It's one of the main things I want you to pull out of that. Because like if you're playing doubles with someone, you're communicating a lot more with your doubles partner because it's just you two. It's actually kind of hard to communicate well with all 8 people. So you really want to work on communicating well with everyone, make sure you all understand. And the call-outs and everything can just be amazing for you. So I really hope you take that to heart. That's one of the very important things at the beginning of the chapter. And he goes on to say, and I'm going to skip line 4 here, but he goes on to say in line 3, "To ensure that your whole host may withstand the brunt of the enemy's attack and remain unshaken, this is the effect of maneuvers by direct and indirect. In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect method will be needed in order to secure victory. Indirect tactics, efficiently applied, are inexhaustible as heaven and earth, unending as the flow in rivers of streams. Like the sun and the moon, they end but to begin anew. Like the 4 seasons, they pass away but to return once more." So he's introducing the idea of these two types of tactics. He's saying tactics are either direct or indirect. And I had to do a bit of studying. I think I figured it out, which was direct tactics are what we use to actually start the fight. Direct tactics are like, okay, when this dude walks out into the field, my direct tactic is to shoot him when he's here, and I'm going to camp out for him. Indirect tactics would be like, okay, we're going to move some people over to the right, so he has to move to the left. Then we're going to have people waiting on the left to kill him. So things like that. Indirect tactics set up the fight. The direct tactic actually initiates the fight and ends the fight. And then he's saying that they just lead into each other. They're unending. And he goes on for another 4 lines to talk about how they lead into each other. So just see here, lines 7 through 11. He says, "There are not more than 5 musical notes. Yet their combination of these 5 gives rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors, blue, yellow, red, white, and black. Yet their combinations, they produce more hues than can ever be seen. There are no more than 5 cardinal tastes, sour, acrid, salt, sweet, bitter, and yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. In battle, there are no more than 2 methods of attack, the direct and the indirect. Yet these 2 in combination give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. The direct and the indirect lead into each other in turn. It's like moving in a circle. You never come to an end. Who can exhaust the possibilities of their combination?" So what he's saying here is he's just emphasizing how much that you can make variety out of these tactics, and you have to lead into each other. He's saying that their combinations are basically endless of the different kinds of tactics you can use. You always have a different option. You know, if you play chess and stuff, there's always a different way the game can kind of be played out. And he goes on in the later bit of that to talk about they lead into each other endlessly. Which is basically saying, like, as soon as you have a fight, which would be a direct tactic, you're going to use an indirect tactic to set up the next fight. As soon as you get done with that setting up the fight, you're going to initiate the fight, which is a direct tactic. And you're going to go so on, and it's not going to end until the war, or in this game, or in this case, our Halo battle is over. So now he goes on to talk about energy, which is actually the name of the chapter. And that's lines 12 through 15. And he says, "The onset of troops is like the rush of a torrent, which will even roll stones along in its course. The quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim. Therefore, the good fighter will be terrible in his onset and prompt in his decision. Energy may be linked to the bending of a crossbow, decision to the release of a trigger." So he's saying that when you release your troops, you're releasing your energy, which is this is your direct tactic. So he's saying that when you're going after it, you go after it hard. If you use tactics and you've set it up well, when you do fight, you fight like a snake, like a falcon. Like you just come in and wait for the perfect timing, and then you just swoop in, kill it, and swap away. Like you've seen like falcons pick up like very large animals and stuff. They just swoop in with good timing, pick it up and launch it off. I've seen like birds pull sheep off mountains and stuff with some crazy videos that if you haven't seen, I suggest you go see. My favorite analogy that he uses for this is the 15th line, which says, "Energy may be linked to the bending of a crossbow, decision to the release of the trigger." Which he's saying that your energy, how much you have ready to use, is like bending something back. And when you release what you're bending back, you're using your perfect timing to execute all that energy at once. It's like if you hold a spring down and you release it, all of that's being released at once whenever you use it. So you want to make sure that when you do set up your tactics, which are direct and indirect, you want to go in for the strike as quickly as possible. And you want to go in and just finish it. Like when flag, if you're playing CTF, as soon as you kill all the other guys, you have the position set up, you need to go in and strike at that flag once they're a few guys down, so you can grab their flag and pull it out of their base. So you have to be well timed in that. And your indirect tactics would be what led up to getting the flag, which is positioning your men maybe outside their base or something. The direct is running in and getting the flag. So these two things lead into each other, and you need to focus on using them well. Then we're going to go into lines 17 through 19. He goes, "Simulated disorder postulates perfect deception." And postulate means like emulates or pretends to be. So when he's saying that simulated disorder, it means like when you're pretending to be disorganized, you're actually pretending to be perfectly disciplined. So that's what it means. But he says simulated fear postulates courage. Simulated weakness postulates strength. Hiding under order beneath a cloak of disorder is simply a question of subdivision. Concealing courage under a show of timidity presupposes a fund of latent energy. Masking energy with a weakness is to be effected by tactical disposition. Thus, one who is skillful in keeping the enemy on the move maintains deceptive appearances, according to which the enemy will act. He sacrifices them that the enemy may snatch at it. By holding out baits, he keeps him on the march. Then when the body of the picked men, he lies in wait for him. So he's saying that you want to make sure the enemy doesn't know what you're doing. So when you are laying these plans and tactics, you don't want everyone to know you're about to strike the enemy base, get that flag, or get these kills. You want them to be caught completely unaware. And you can do this by pretending to be over at the other side of the map. Like if you have some guys camping, leave a few guys up there so everyone thinks, oh, they're all back there on that side of the map. While really you have some guys flanking them or something. I'm going to upload a perfection I got in a clan battle soon where that's exactly what we did, which is we'd have two guys going up front and I would run around and flank and we would finish them off that way. So different stuff like that really leads up to deception. So you always want to make sure deception is a constant part. If you remember in chapter 1, he said all warfare is based on deception. Every battle you ever do, every kind of game, you want to make sure that you are pretending to, be worse than you are, be better than you are, just whatever is convenient for you. You don't want people to know where you are. Like, I'm a sniper. When I'm trying to kill the other enemy sniper, if he knows where I am, he's just going to snipe me. But if he doesn't know where I am and I know where he is, that means I'm just going to lie in wait, and as soon as I see his enemy, I'll pop it out and shoot him. So that's why being hidden and sneaky and stealthy, it's super important when you're thinking about using weapons and stuff, because it's impossible to kind of hold that greater position and advantage, and this gives you an advantage. So you really want to work on that because it is a very important part. And then he goes on in lines 20 through 23, which they kind of go back to what we talked about at the beginning of the chapter. It says, by holding out, 21 through 23, sorry. The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy. He does not require too much from individuals, hence his ability to pick out the right men and utilize combined energy. When he utilizes combined energy, his fighting men become, as it were, like unto rolling logs or stones, for it is to the nature of a log or stone to remain motionless on level ground, and to move when on a slope, if four-cornered to come to a standstill, and if round shape to go rolling down. Thus, the energy developed by good fighting men is as the momentum of a round stone rolled down a mountain thousands of feet in height. Such is the subject of energy. So basically, he's saying that you need to use the combined energy to push forward. Like, you have to create that slope in which you can go down and push all your energy down through. Because when you do have all these people together, you need to make sure you're working as a team and as a unit to actually use it. If you are two people on a team, but you're not sticking together and using team shots, then you might as well not be a team at all. It might as well just be free-for-all for all that is, except you two aren't going to kill each other. And that's actually worse for you. You're not going to get any points. So you always want to make sure that you're working on controlling the battle as much as possible and using your momentum. Because he also goes on to talk about the momentum of once you have the momentum, keep it going. You'll never believe how many fights I've lost because I was massacring in the beginning of the game, and then I would just lose all speed and momentum. Then all of a sudden, we would just stop and we'd start losing, and we would lose by the end of the game. So it's very important. So keep an eye on creating tactics, being deceptive, and using your teamwork and communication. So those are the three things I want you to get out of it. And that's pretty much all the time we have. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe if you like this. If you just want to leave your feedback and everything, feel free. I always read all the comments. And again, thank you for watching. My name's Perplexality. This is ODST Halo Guide. ODST, out.